It's Michael Luchies, and I'm joined here with HermanSJr, psychological strategist, and today we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship and psychological strategy. Herman, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Michael. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing great, and thanks for joining me here. So what pain points or problems that entrepreneurs and business-level executives are facing, what of those are alleviated or solved through psychological strategy?
Oh, that's a very good question, and it's a very powerful question with a huge answer, so I'll try to be succinct here. Psychological strategy is the strategy, the psychology behind any strategy to do something, whether that's for business or even an individual. And how it can help businesses, entrepreneurs, very specifically with the issues that they're facing these days is it allows you to influence a target, and that target could be one person, it could be your employees, it could be yourself, or it could be your current or prospective customers, to influence them subconsciously to make them want to immigrate towards you, to be attractive towards your business. So we're talking about marketing, obviously, getting more people to want to come to you, getting your target to come to your empire, to your establishment, without them feeling like you're selling to them or they are being sold to. It also helps with process efficiency. It also helps with pretty much anything in the realm of business. If you're trying to lower employee turnover, increase employee empowerment, increase employee loyalty and morale, all those different things. So it is a huge category that is extremely complex, but it really touches upon a lot of different areas that businesses are facing these days, especially now with everyone being constantly bombarded with information. You really have to be very strategic in how you attract them, and the best way to do that by far is through psychological tactics, and they don't even know that they're coming to you or why.
So using the subconscious, are there people that are skeptical of that or that don't approve of those kinds of methods, and how do you deal with those opinions if that is a common misconception?
A very, very nice question. It is extremely controversial. But it's being done. This is something that's been done for decades, actually millennia, depending on how you define psychological strategy. Fortune 500s are making a huge killing off of you, off of me, everyone we love, all of your listeners, everybody. They're making a huge killing by using these tactics. They're using neuroscience. They're using neuromarketing. They're using something called atmospherics. That's a huge conversation in itself. They're using all these different psychological tactics to get you to want to come to them, to want to buy to them. They're using certain colors in their businesses. They're avoiding certain colors in their businesses. They're using certain scents, certain sounds. All these things, to the average entrepreneur, it sounds like overkill. I've heard these arguments for a long time. But what the people who profess those things, who say it's overkill, they're not understanding is that Fortune 500s, they're paying millions of dollars to consultants who are psychological strategists to get them into their company and say, look, if you want to attract Michael and his listeners, you need to do this. You need to use this color. You need to use this kind of speech. This will elevate your empire far more, and it'll bring you a lot more money. And a lot of people don't realize that these tactics have been used on them for a long time. And it's whether you call it motivation, influence, manipulation, whatever it is, it's out there, it's being worked, and you might as well take it and use it as you can, hopefully in a beneficial interest and nothing that's going to hurt others.
So do you see small businesses and startups using this, or is it so time-consuming and possibly expensive to get people on board who really know what they're doing that only the larger companies are using a lot of these strategies?
Very good topic there. It is absolutely expensive. You're looking at about, typically, you're looking at about $145,000 for a 45-minute conversation or a 60-minute conversation with a psychological strategist. Of course, prices vary, but it is extremely expensive because it's just so vast. Now, what I do is I bring the expertise and the power of these techniques, the power of raising your empire and getting others to come to your empire. And empire means your business, or even if you're an individual. Let's say you want to be the next Donald Trump, Oprah Winfrey, or a model, or an actor, an actress. That's your empire. So it's usable for both a business and an individual. So what I do is I bring all these tactics, all the science, all the complicated stuff to the small, high-end businesses or the medium-sized businesses. So if you're going to pay, let's say a Fortune 500 pays $1 million for one project contract, with me, I like to bring this to the I'll say the everyday businesses or the smaller sized businesses. So it is something they can absolutely afford, because it is ridiculously complicated. It is something that you really have to tend to. For example, if you're a food company and you create a new product, let's say a food that's green or blue, you're going to have a very difficult time selling any edible food that's blue on average. But if you're a metaphysical company or a training company, whatever it is, personal training, blue is the color you want to go with. So there are so many variables that are completely unrelated to one field versus another. And if you don't know these things, they're really going to hurt you. So I really try to bring this to the, like I said, the small and medium-sized businesses so they can afford it and they can walk away knowing it, because I teach. I don't just do the tactics. I teach the tactics so they can walk away after they leave me, and they can do it on their own as well.
And Michael Luchies here with HermanSJr. Now, Herman, one thing you and I touched on through email was primal words and sound symbolism and the effects they can have on a business's messaging. Can you explain what primal words and sound symbolism are and how they can make a message more powerful and attractive?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Sound symbolism and primal words, they're pretty much, they're quite interrelated there. They are where, say, for example, it's controversial area too. Sound symbolism is roughly speaking that certain sounds have certain meanings, or rather connotations, within the human mind. So let's say the more fluid sounds, such as f, f, or p, or fl, fl, or pl, pl, they're going to be seen as more positive or more enticing sounds, rather than more hard sounds like a k, k, or g, or g, which is gr or kr. So automatically, for some reason, there's some kind of association associated with certain sounds in every culture. The sounds may differ, but there is an allocation of certain sounds that sound more positive and some that sound more negative. And what you want to do is you want to be very careful whenever you do anything. You always want to pay attention to psychological strategy, because it really rules everything in your business and personal life. So when you create a business thing, you want to be careful that you're not creating something that's difficult to pronounce or something that's difficult to remember, or more importantly, something that is going to draw up negative connotation with your listeners or your people, your audience, your target. You want to be more used to the sounds that are more positive, so you're creating something that instantly has a good feel, instantly has a good name to it. So it's just going to automatically be very fluid for your people. They'll remember you. They'll automatically have a more positive feeling associated with you and your company and your product or service, and it's going to automatically draw them into you, at least more than the other guy, say me versus you, Michael. If I have a business and I'm coming up with something that's got a lot of k or hard sounds or anything like that. So when you want to use communication, when you speak with your public, when you're on a radio show, a TV show, whatever, you want to be very cognizant of those sounds and how they affect others, because whether you want to admit it or not, these are hard established sciences, and they do affect people. And most of the time, you're going to get answers when you ask the people, how does that message affect you? Or how do you feel about the company? Almost always, the people will say something like, you know what, I don't know, but I just don't like it. Or I just like it, whatever it is. And they don't know why, but there's the pull underneath there that does focus on sound symbolism, and it is something that you want to pay attention to. And the primal words are something that's like very, very typical, very powerful words that are associated and learned at a young age, like power, blood. Not that you want to use blood in the company name, but, all these primal words that conjure up feelings, whether it's negative or positive. You want to avoid certain ones that are negative, obviously, and use the ones that are more positive in your speech, and you'll have a far more powerful message to your people.
In sales and messaging, simple messages are often encouraged. For example, most sales copy is written at a 5th to 7th grade level. Where's the intersection of making the reader or customer use their imagination without making them have to decipher a message?
Yes, you definitely want to keep first and foremost, it depends on your audience, obviously. If you want to be an academic person or a scholar, then obviously you need to write at a higher level. But in general, to the average business person, the average entrepreneur, or individual who's trying to sell themselves, you do want to write on a lower level because you want to reach more people, obviously. So it is completely compatible, not only compatible, but far more effective. So you want to stay on that same level of 6th or 7th grade education, but you want to be very careful and throw in those primal words. You want to throw in words like free, today, immediately, empire, powerful. You want to throw in those words because all those words affect people on a subconscious level, on a psychological level. It's very similar to the example, let's say you're speaking with a kid and the kid is speaking with you. The kid's going to use words like, that was super cool, that was a huge, monster, a huge elephant, it looked so wonderful. You want to use those same words. Remember the speech of a child that attracted you. You want to use that same vocabulary and throw it into your messages. Not sounding like a child, of course, constructing it so it sounds educated, but still staying at the 6th or 7th grade level, but throwing those primal words, being careful to the sound symbolism. And then if you construct a speech, Michael, that has sound symbolism, that has primal words, and I construct something that's just at the 6th or 7th grade level, you and I will have two completely different messages, even if they're about the same thing. They'll be very different because yours will be far more attractive. People will like yours better. They'll resonate with yours better. And mine will be more blasé or laissez-faire. And you'll have a far more powerful effect for your business to bring in money to your business.
So a lot of what we're talking about is very complicated and kind of hard to decipher, but are there a couple of ways that entrepreneurs can integrate parts of psychological strategy easily into their businesses today?
Yes, absolutely. A few things that entrepreneurs can do immediately is to look at the tactics of psychological strategy encompasses many different sciences, neuroscience, linguistics, psychology, obviously, resonance. Resonance is not science, it's a principle in physics. But what the entrepreneurs can do today is just remember the words that attracted them as a child. They can study the primal words. They can study sound symbolism. They can look at, businesses that are booming, like the Fortune 500. They can see what it is that they're doing. Why is it that we have all these impulse buys right next to the cash register in supermarkets, grocery stores? It's because that's based on psychology. It's going to be a lot less of a push to get someone to buy something when they're right in front of the cashier. So they want to mold themselves after the success of the best business in their industry and use the tactics that they're using. So you want to look at the simple tactics of neuromarketing, of neuroscience. You want to follow the leaders, the experts, the scholars, the consultants, such as myself and such as others that do this here, and make sure you pay attention to everything in your business relying on psychology, whether it's motivating yourself, motivating your employees, or bringing others into your business. Everything relies on influence. Whether you agree with it or not, it's as it is, whether you like it or not. And you have to remember that these techniques that you use are very complicated, but the information is out there. Whether you get it through me or through the internet, all the tactics are out there, and you can be far more successful if you use these things.
And as we wrap up here with HermanSJr, Herman, can you give us how can we find out more about what you're currently working on?
Yes, my website is the portal for everything that I do. It's www.HermanSJr.com, and that really shows everything. It shows all my research, all my background, my education, my management experience, and I also have a newsletter. I constantly give out free tips. If you follow my Twitter, I constantly give out free tips on neuromarketing and psychological strategy. I'm saying, hey, if you go do this right now, you'll increase your sales, you'll increase this. I give all kinds of free tips. Once in a while, I don't do this often, but once in a while, I even actually give away free consulting packages. So if you were to do that, subscribe to newsletter, you get a lot of free tips. I really enjoy bringing this information at a drastically lower cost than the Fortune 500s charge, or actually pay for. And I love giving out the information, helping the smaller and medium-sized businesses. So it's definitely, if you're looking to follow information, follow my interviews or books, then you can find everything at HermanSJr.com.
Great. Well, Herman, thanks once again for your insight and time. Really appreciate it, and it's been really helpful.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Michael.